Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Secrets of the Viz. Today I have a very special guest, Priscilla, and she's here to talk a little bit on two different vizzes. One on her Stardew Valley Viz of the Day, as well as her entry for IronViz this year. So over to you, Priscilla, to do a short intro for yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Priscilla. I'm based in Los Angeles, California, and I work as a full-time data analyst with Disney. I started Tableau as I got through my job. I actually worked with a lot of my coworkers to understand what was going on, but then I started relying on a lot of blogs. I would also go on YouTube to watch tutorials to see how people build really cool charts, and eventually learning more as I went.
So out of all the resources that you've used to kickstart your Tableau journey, what are the top three that you would recommend for new people to the community?
That's hard. I think I really like the Back to Viz Basics community. They have a lot of great tutorials on how to build basic charts and then how to elevate them. YouTube's a great source, especially since I'm a visual learner. So I like to see people walk through how they build stuff and then I follow along.
Sounds good. So I think your Stardew Valley Viz is probably your first big Viz that you have done. And thank you for participating in Games Night Viz. This was during the challenge we did on cooking with the spice of data, which was a collaboration with the Japan Tableau user group and Data Noodle. It's really interesting because video games is such a wide spectrum. You have games that are really serious, you have games that are more focused on narratives, and you have this little bubble that it's mostly about cozy games. And I've read through your portfolio. I think you own a garden of little plant babies. I was looking
Yes.
at each of the plants, and the names were really interesting and unique. How did that whole love for plants came about?
Yes, my love for plants started from college when my roommate would take me to the nursery whenever we were stressed out about finals. And I do still have a lot of plants like in my home to, kind of de-stress after work. That's why I felt like it was like a great opportunity for me to build this viz where I love Stardew Valley and I love plants and I love nature. And that's how I also synthesize my idea for this viz actually, because I'm from California and I was like really curious about what do people grow during specific seasons.
Yeah, I was gonna ask because the Stardew Valley Viz data is pretty straightforward, but for you to gather all that information for the entirety of California, it's quite a lot. You have this map over here that shows all the crops grown in like the different counties in California, and you can click through each of them and it shows you where the seasonal crops are being grown and stuff like that. I really like this one. I'm also really intrigued about the background, and I know there's this planner which allows you to create a map itself. I
Yeah.
didn't know that such tools existed because you could actually do, if you want to have like carrot seeds, you can draw the entire
Yeah.
prop over
Mhm.
here. And throughout your Viz, you have used this tool to actually create different renditions of your farm. You have
Mhm.
one for spring, you have
Mhm.
one for summer, fall, and winter. And it's very thematic. I really love how you've done all of this. So how did that design inspiration come about?
So how it works in the actual game is you start with the spring season and then you like work your way through each season. And that's how I also thought about let me look at California crops by season because the game works by season. And so it just all made sense to make the design also based on season. The Stardew planner was actually created by fans, I believe, like two authors. They wanted to basically allow people to plan their farm because a lot of people like to meticulously design their own farm.
So I would imagine that when you're playing Stardew Valley, you're very organized in terms of what crops go to this side of the farm and how the paths go from one place to another.
Yes, I am. But I do play with my friends because you can share a farm and build together. So I would be that friend that would be like, don't put it there. That doesn't look good together. But it's so fun to play together.
It is. It's a game that you can just pick and go anytime. There's no real commitment to that. And I think that's
Yeah.
probably why it took off so much during the COVID days
Mhm.
because it's really accessible for anyone, even if you are not really a gamer.
Yeah, for sure.
So from this viz, you actually move on to your very first IronViz entry this year. And kudos to you because it's not easy to create IronViz entry. I know that because I've done that for 4 times now, and it's always a challenge and a lot of work. So I'm just curious, what are the lessons that you learned from building your Stardew Valley Viz that you have brought over to your IronViz entry?
Yeah, I actually built the Stardew Valley Viz right after I went to my first Tableau conference this year. So it was a really good opportunity for me to actually put into practice what I learned at the conference. I learned how to do a lot of these new charts that I put in the Stardew Valley Viz. And after getting more familiar, I felt a lot more comfortable doing my IronViz entry. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to get a lot of time to do it because I found out
Mm.
about it, I think, a week before it was due. So I built this Viz in about a week. And I'm just proud that I finished and built something for IronViz, but I still think my IronViz could go through iterations of improvements because I built it in such a short amount of time.
You should really give yourself a pat on the back because creating that entire viz within 1 week in terms of design and getting the data is not easy, and great job.
Thank you. I did lose a lot of sleep, but I just wanted to do it.
One thing I noticed was that you have a donut chart like this in your IronViz as well. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that is your favorite chart choice.
Yeah, that's a good question. I do like donut charts, and I know it's controversial because they're technically pie charts, and everybody in the data community are like, pie charts are horrible because we can't really get a good sense of like angles and how that relates to numbers. I would say I do like donut charts. I think they're like a great way for me to put little icons in the middle to make it more different. So that's kind of how I utilize
Yes.
them.
I noticed that as well. I think it's a very nice artistic take on it because if I look at your IMVis one, you have over here with the Metacritic and the Rotten Tomato, you also have that image right in the middle. And I would say pretty easy to read because there's only one value there. Donut charts are controversial because of the readability of it.
Mhm.
But if you simplify it to make it easier for your audience to walk away with the data itself, then I think you have achieved it. So jumping into your IMVis entry, I know we're just jumping from places to places. How did the inspiration or the idea came about to do a viz on the evolution of Disney animated movies?
Yeah, I grew up loving Disney animated movies. And when I found out that the theme was entertainment, I just thought I just had to do something because I grew up watching a lot of them. And I was really curious because I wanted to analyze IMDb data set. I was also having limited time, and I think the IMDb data was very clean already. So I didn't have to do too much, and I could really focus on putting everything together, analyzing it, and also designing.
That's a really good point because all credit to David Kelly, who was the one that did the entire data prep for getting Data Plus TV to everyone. So I really like this little snippet here you have where you can actually play through how the movies are made by Disney across the different years and
Yeah.
where the density of the movies are. How did this idea came about? Like,
So the whole idea for this Iron Viz is that it's supposed to be mimicking like a book about Disney animated movies. And so when I was thinking about what kind of charts would be great for the first page layout of this dashboard, was it would be really cool to see how the whole entire movie timeline looked like.
yeah, that's really cool. There's a lot of movies that have been released by Disney. I didn't realize that there was so many. So I gotta
Mhm.
ask, what is your favorite Disney film?
It's very hard, but I do have to stick with my childhood favorite, which was Mulan. I still love Mulan the most. I think it's just really great that Disney's animated movies also focus on trying to be inclusive and diverse. So they go through a lot of different cultures and When there was this issue of a lack of Asian representation in entertainment and media. So seeing Mulan as a kid was really inspiring for me to see my culture represented in such a big mainstream way. So that's why it's my favorite movie. And I'm just glad that now there's so much more Asian representation in entertainment and the media. I also thought it was a really good opportunity to see in the next pages which movies were the most significant by decade and what kind of significance it actually had. I try to keep it as concise but still helpful. So in the next few pages, it's movies by decades, and then it goes through the plot, and then the significance, the duration, and then all the films of that decade. I definitely think if I were to improve this dashboard, the square chart on the bottom for all of the movies, I would love to have the actual images for it, but obviously it's very tedious to match all the images to the movie titles because they would be shapes and you have to match all of them.
Yeah, I think the other suggestion you could go by is having the images in the tooltip itself. That could be
Oh,
a really
cool.
interesting one. I think the Data Plus TV dataset probably has a image URL, which you can use as a image row. I think that could be a really neat way of just showing all of the images, because there are a lot of Disney films and not everyone have watched all of them. Some of us could probably remember from the poster itself rather than the name.
Yes,
So
for
that could
sure.
be
That's a good idea. I wish I knew about it while I was building it, but it's good to know that there's the image sheet to go off of.
Yeah, but even having said that, building this in 1 week is a lot of effort, and it's still a very well done job. I'm
Thank
excited
you.
about the upcoming films. I know
Yes.
Moana 2 is dropping probably in the next couple of weeks, and my kid loves Moana.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute. I forget like what each generation's watching now, but it's so cool that Disney's so impactful still with their films that each generation has a film that they associate themselves with.
Yeah, I would say for me, it's probably Aladdin when I was
Mhm.
growing up more than anything else.
I do love Aladdin as well. It's a really good one.
It is. So, having two big visits out of the window, is there anything that you're currently working on?
Oh my gosh, currently, no, I'm taking a break. I do this for work as well. So I try to be cognizant not to be too burnt out on anything. I love using Tableau, I love designing, but it's hard to be designing these intricate dashboards all the time. So I try to give myself some time to brainstorm more and then be ready for the next challenge.
Yeah, I know one of the advice that Emily gave me was that the longer the idea sits in the back of your head, the better it becomes.
Yeah, I love Emily, and Emily actually has been a great mentor for me in my Tableau journey. So, yes, I do agree. I think some ideas need to marinate a little bit more, and then it'll come out so much better.
Definitely. And you deserve the rest from having participated in IronViz. All right. I think we have everything we need from your two visits. So thank you,
Awesome.
Priscilla, for spending some time with us today to talk through your Stardew Valley Viz as well as your very first IronViz entry. So hopefully we'll see you enter IronViz next year as well. And hopefully one day we'll see you in the top 10. That's something to work towards, Sue.
Well, I will try my best. Thanks so
It,
much.
it's been so great chatting with you, and we'll catch up again.
Awesome. Thanks,
All right.
Louie.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in as well. And we'll see everyone next week.